Should we do like rapid fire, like 10 thoughts in 10 minutes?
I can't think that fast.
I feel delirious.
I do too. Like rapid fire in these conditions?
Yeah, it's pretty rough. Should that be our cold open? Is this our cold open?
Are you recording?
I am recording. Is this our cold open?
Yeah.
This is our cold open. We're so
Might
back.
as well.
We are so back. Allegedly, per sources, we are so back. You know who I am, I think. I would hope. You really know who she is. Newsbreaker, Shayna Rubin, San Francisco Chronicle, day one of spring training. Been here since 7:30. Currently 5:56. We're not doing 9 to 5s. We're doing 8 to 6s. Shayna, I can't even do the intro anymore. I'm losing it. I'm losing it. It's been a long day. I will say it is warranted. It has been a long day. We've got a lot of stuff to get to. I don't even know where to start. We don't have a script. We've been writing this entire time. We've been transcribing the entire time. We've interviewed, I don't even know how many interviews. Talked to so many people today. Shayna, where do we start today? I think there's one place we got to start.
Where do we got to start?
I think we got to start with Tony.
Start with Tony.
I think that's the only appropriate place to start because we've talked about this all winter, talked about it all fall. Tony Vitello, you know by now, rookie manager making the unprecedented jump from college to the majors, and this is his first Major League spring training, and there's going to be a lot of newness. To quote Music Soul Child, there's a lot of newness.
Nice, yeah.
So, and this is his first Major League spring training. He, addressed the class today, so to say. He said that he thought it was more of a ramble. Buster Posey thought it was more of a very... Buster Posey likes when Tony talks. I think that's the impression that I've gotten. And I think, quote, Matt Chapman. I think Matt Chapman was like, yeah, Tony definitely can talk.
He can talk.
And he's afraid of Waymos.
He is afraid of it. He brought up Waymos unprovoked, on his own. So he's clearly ingratiating himself with the San Francisco culture and Arizona because there's some Waymos here.
Scottsdale culture, too.
Yeah. One and the same.
It is one and the same.
It was an event. It was 25 minutes or something like that of talking.
It was, and we did have 3 national reporters in the house: Barry Bloom, Ken Rosenthal, Bob Nightingale. Now, granted, I don't know how many camps have already opened up, so part of that might have been it's kind of slim pickings. I know the Dodgers don't even open up until Friday, and maybe if it was all things being equal, Dodgers versus Giants, I think some of them might have scurried on over to Dodgers camp. But it does illustrate the fact that there is a lot of intrigue here. This is something that is, for the most part, not even for the most part, it just is in the modern game completely brand new. And I think it's something that we have to get used to. We're going to have to get used to. Like, we saw it a little bit in the winter meetings. There were kind of some more national folks there, and Tony's availability compared to others. We've already seen it here day one of spring training, and I wouldn't be shocked if we continue to see that intrigue, because there's a lot of reason to have some intrigue.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of mystery. We keep waiting for the time when the answers to how it will go will reveal itself, and we keep picking up these little clues like, oh, this is the first day, and this is what he's doing on day one of spring training. He made a speech. What was in the speech? And it still feels... I think the reason why everyone's so intrigued also is that, it doesn't feel like much has changed in terms of what we've learned about him. I don't know if that sounds too negative or...
I think that's fair.
Or not newsworthy enough, but I think that that's just the truth. He has a lot to say, and to be honest, I don't know if there is a whole lot to report from what he said.
I don't want this to sound derogatory, but I kind of feel like this is a really weird comparison. This is like a microcosm of what it's like to cover Ohtani. In the sense that, every little thing is so closely monitored, just because it is something. Again, that's it's not a perfect one-to-one comparison, but it's like last year, for example, when we were here 1 year ago today, we weren't talking about, oh yeah, it's Bob Melvin's first day of spring training. It's because he did the exact same things that Tony did. He addressed the class, walked around, did his participated in drills. It's the exact same thing. But again, just because of the fact that this is Tony Vitello, who a year ago was the head coach at the University of Tennessee, and now he's making this jump, a lot of it, pretty much everything that he does is going to be under a microscope. And I forgot who asked the question, but somebody did ask, like, can this potentially start, like a wave? Like, can we potentially see more of this? I think it was Bob Nightingale who asked us, like, can we see more of this? And, there is the possibility that if this goes really well, this is more of a consideration. There's also the possibility that if this does not go well, maybe it goes the opposite direction.
Right. And we're sitting here wondering how it's going to go, and we're still wondering, right? So far, if I'm being honest, it feels like he still is learning the ropes, right? Like he's not to say that he's completely green, but I think that the way that Matt Chapman described it was, they were on the phone a lot during the off season because Chapman's elite team leader, and Tony knows that that's someone he needs to go to get a lay of the land, and that's the way that Matt Chapman put it. He's still trying to, he said, I send at least one text to everybody. So he's still attaching his roots to this team that he's managing. He can't, we were asking about the bullpen today. The bullpen we can get to, in our opinion, later. Asking him about how he views the murkiness, the roles, the state of the pitching staff as a whole, and he can't really speak in absolutes about, and I understand no manager can really speak in absolutes at the beginning of spring training, so maybe there isn't a huge difference there, just the way he says it is a little different, but he's still getting a hold of this entire job and the operation that's about to happen. So that's what became clear today.
Yeah, I definitely think some grace it needs to be extended in the sense that, like, I remember, again, being a beat reporter versus being a manager of a major league club, two totally different things. But there just is a level of institutional knowledge that you don't know. Like, I think right now, if you ask Tony, like, hey, do you remember, like if you asked him about Hayden Birdsong's outing in Atlanta, and that's fresh in mind because I did talk to Hayden Birdsong today, he would probably not be confused, but like it might, require a little refresher. But, I think it's fair that, it is going to take some time to like learn the nuance of every guy, like know their history. Like it's a lot of people in camp. It's the 40-man roster plus the NRIs plus the minor league guys that are going to sprinkle in. He knows the coaching staff, but there's just like it's a lot. It's a lot.
It's a lot for everybody.
If we get to this conversation might be a little different when it comes to April, May, because I think at that point it's like the grace period is kind of over. Like you do need, at that point you need to know your team, but it's a lot. He's soaking it all in. We have an entire spring, and I think this is the most. It's so weird to like talk about a manager because you can't, especially like a collegiate manager, because you can't be like, oh yeah, look at here's the numbers. It's like it's just like this is all like anecdotal, and it's very like odd in the way that we have to talk about this.
It is. It's like it's odd because it's a completely different person in this space. So we can't talk to him the way that we talk to Bob Melvin, which is like we can talk to him about his playing career and the context with which he was managing and who he knows in Major League Baseball, that everything kind of coexists and melds together when you're a longtime manager like he was. And then this is just like the complete opposite in terms of experience. So it's just like for us a whiplash, and for him, I mean, it's fascinating, and I understand why there's national. It's the story of du jour. That's what's happening.
Du jour.
Du jour.
Du jour. We getting French. We speaking French. We. Anyhow, we're talking about a rookie manager. Let's talk about a rookie first baseman / designated hitter who may or may not be on the opening day roster. We're talking about 6'7" Bryce Eldridge, who we had an opportunity to talk to today. We talked about him, or with him rather. I think it was during the San Jose stop of FanFest, and I think the subject of that was trade rumors, his wrist surgery, how that was going. I think the main kind of newsy thing in all this is that he's full go. He had the wrist surgery for the bone spur in early October. Everything's full go now. He's hitting. He's been swinging for about 2 weeks. But now, if we're going strictly into the element, the waters of just player stuff here, the things that are a little more familiar as far as talking, I think that there's probably not going to be a more interesting storyline to follow all spring than Bryce Eldridge and whether or not he makes the opening day roster. Only played 10 games last year, obviously the Giants' top prospect. Hit the ball hard in those 10 games. Also didn't do a ton. Again, it's just a 10-game sample size, not a large sample size to draw upon, but it is going to be, interesting to see, what how Bryce Eldridge fares. He is going to be facing probably those guys that are appearing in like the first, second, and third inning opposed to the seventh, eighth, and ninth. And so I would imagine that he gets a legitimate opportunity to win a job. Now, where that's going to be, first base, DH, that's to be determined. But yeah, that's the guy to.
That's the guy.
If it wasn't apparent by now, if you're a Giants fan, that's the guy to keep an eye on. It's like, is he going to make the roster? It's
Yeah.
that.
You guys want to know who to keep an eye on? I'm sure that everyone, if you're a Giants fan, you already have at least one eye on him, and that's the guy to watch. It's if you were watching him last year in the 10 games and you were looking just at the numbers, then you might think, oh dear. But if you were watching some of the at-bats and particularly the kind of contact he was making, then maybe you're a little bit more optimistic. And I think it'll be really exciting to see, how he's grown into this year. I mean, how much the bone spur, he said that it would have been bothering him since last spring. I wonder how much it was actually impacting him generally. Clearly not terribly. But it'll be interesting to see with this different type of confidence. Last spring, he was just sort of Mr. Confident in sort of a young, go-get-him way, and now he's sort of a confident and I've kind of been here, I understand my place a little more way. So it'll be interesting to see how that translates into what he does when he has to earn a job.
He's got a real number now. Well, he's had it since
What is it again?
Number 8.
Oh, yeah.
In honor of Ovechkin,
Right.
Capitals, also Lamar. So, but yeah, it's a lot different of a dynamic now, because last year, as you mentioned, it's like, hey, it's good to be in spring, just kind of gonna enjoy it, soak it all in. He's 20 years old, and to your point about the bone spur, like the fact that his start to the season was delayed because of the injury, and he plays through it for the entire year. So I don't remember exactly what the numbers are off top, but it was probably like 20-something homers, OPS in like the high 800s. To post those numbers, like not being 100% healthy, and to also, again, super small sample size, but in the small sample size that he was at the major league level, hit the ball as hard as he did. Also some like really good plate discipline too. Like I remember that first game where he was just spitting on Zach Gallen, changeups in the dirt, like very good approach. I think that if you want to go like the super like optimistic point of view, like the fact that he was able to do what he did last year when he wasn't 100% healthy, and the possibility of what he can do in spring, I think it's. Whenever Bryce Eldridge comes to the plate, it's going to be a lot of phones out.
Yeah, same with last year. Everyone was phones out for the Bryce Eldridge at-bats. I think the same for this year. I'm going to have my phone out.
So Bryce Eldridge has a lot of power. Let's talk about somebody who doesn't have a ton, or at least exhibit a ton of that, and that is Luis Arraez, second baseman. Luis Arraez. And we had the episode with Eno a couple weeks, well, about a week ago. I don't know. Time is kind of melding into each other. But I feel like it's all like the discourse. Can I just say the discourse is very toxic? I think
Only if you explain yourself.
This is the whole people not understanding that multiple things can be true. Multiple things can be true. I just want people to understand that. Like, yes, does Luis Arraez make more contact than anybody in baseball? Yes. Has that approach maybe hampered him the last couple of years? Yes, he's been closer to a league average hitter than an elite hitter the last 2 years. But it's just, I see the tweets. They're flying around. Every time I tweet anything Luis Arraez related, it's toxic. And I can only imagine. It feels like a worse version of the Belt.
Well, who's replying to the tweets? Who's mad?
Everybody. Everybody's mad on both sides of the aisle.
Everybody's mad online?
Everybody's just perpetually mad online. But the hitting part of it is one thing. We can talk about that later. But the second base is kind of the main thing here, where he kind of confirmed today that he did have multiple year deals on the table, but he wanted to go to a team that was going to allow him to play second base.
Yep.
He's going to get the chance to play second base. I'm going to throw some stats at you because they are fresh in mind.
Yay.
Since 2019, negative 60 outs above average, regardless of position. That's the worst
What was
in
the
baseball.
number?
Negative 60.
Tight. Okay.
Same time span, negative 33 defense or outs above average at second base, which is also the worst.
Yeah.
Now, Ron Washington is going to be in camp. Already been working with Ron Washington, infield guru, Xavi, Marcus Semien. I think Matt Chapman. Did they overlap? I know it was like a very brief.
I think it was brief.
Brief time. Austin Riley, a bunch of guys that Ron Washington has worked with. Tell him Wash, it's incredibly hard. You know who Ron Washington is. I do kind of. I know a lot of people have made this point. It is, for all Ron Washington can do, he's not just like a wizard where like he can snap his fingers and suddenly Luis Arraez is going to be like a plus defender or even like a net neutral defender. I think he will help. Mm-hmm. But, we kind of mentioned this. I think we were talking about this point where it's like this is a ground ball team and Luis Arraez is going to get a lot of opportunities to prove very early on how good of a defender he can be at second base.
Yeah, it's definitely, if he wants to play second base, this is the ultimate challenge to play second base because you're right in the middle of a ground ball fest. So,
especially considering who the best pitcher on this team is.
Correct.
It's a lot of grounders.
Yeah, you talk about pitching and defense. The defense and pitching is very much connected in this situation when you're talking about your ace and what he relies on. I mean, Willy Adames had something of a shaky defensive year last year. I think he was maybe just adjusting a little bit to the new ballpark, the new atmosphere. Matt Chapman is who he is. He elevates their defense in a very specific and unique way, their infield defense. Rafael Devers playing first is also somewhat of a question mark. I think that he looked a lot better than most people or we all expected. We didn't know what to expect with his first base.
Eye test.
The eye test.
The John Shea eye test.
Yeah, John Shea eye test told us he is good at first base, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
What was the Shea eye test? I don't know. Well, my
John
eye
Shea
test.
he just gets on me for not using my eyes.
Oh, you're telling me to deploy the eye test. Eye test is like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, but the eye test, it kind of did match the numbers. I think the numbers, it was like +2 defensive run save, maybe -1 OAA, which kind of aligns with Rafi Devers. And if he gives you that, like with the bat, you will take that. Like you will take that all day, every day, twice on Sunday. But yeah, it is. He's gonna get an opportunity. I think the last full season that he had at second base was 2023, and surprise, surprise, he was worth -11 OAA. So. It'll be interesting. And maybe there's some positioning stuff the Giants can do. Maybe there's some things. I think it was Chapman who said that, he's probably going to put Arraez through some drills that he's probably never done before. Or not exactly sure. We got to talk to Wash. We got to talk to the man.
That'll be something to follow up on. It'll be interesting as spring goes, which is what's the Wash magic touch look like in this situation? What kind of drills is he running them through? What kind of what can he identify with Luis Arraez that this team thinks can turn him into a better second baseman? Because statistically, objectively, it's a concern.
Yeah, this is just purely going by the numbers here. We do not have a vendetta against. I do not have a vendetta.
You do not have
Luis
a vendetta.
Arraez. This
no.
is just
too new.
These are the numbers. These are what the numbers say. Last point to hit upon for getting out of here. This is going to be probably one of the bigger things that we track throughout the entirety of spring training as well is the bullpen. Mm-hmm. The Giants invested minimally into the bullpen. They signed Sam Hentges, who is not yet 100%. Jason Foley, who's not going to be back until mid-season. And when you look at this bullpen now compared to where it was last June, you look at it, it's like Randy Rodriguez, Camilo Duvall, Tyler Rogers, Eric Miller, Ryan Walker, just absolutely, it's like that meme, absolutely disgusting bullpen. And you look at the bullpen now, and I think the one thing that really jumps out is the lack of strikeout stuff. I think that's for me, that's the one thing that really jumps out about the current state of this bullpen. Lack of stuff, lack of strikeout stuff. And it's even apparent in guys this is not to single out somebody, but Yoel Peguero, who he throws consistently 100, 101, 102, but he doesn't have the strikeout stuff. And once you get past Ryan Walker, it's not a lot of guys who are going to have strikeout rates that are in the 22, 23, 24%. And, there are some interesting NRIs, Michael Fulmer, Gregory Santos, who have had success at the major league level. But if there is a weaker link of this Giants team, it is the bullpen.
And it's especially confusing when you consider what the focus is supposed to be with this team. I don't know if focus is the right word. What the strength is supposed to be with this team, which is pitching and defense. And it felt like the goal going into the offseason for them was get more pitching, get more starting pitching. And they did that, but the bullpen just kind of became such an afterthought to a point that now we're in spring and it's like, oh, this was no offense to the current group, but it's lacking. It's lacking punch. It's like literal punch. It's lacking a guy. And Ryan Walker. He's proved that he can be that guy. He's proved that he can be a punch. But you don't even know how the roles are going to pan out. You don't know who's going to set up. You don't know high leverage situations. Eric Miller's health was an issue last year. You don't know how that's going to play out. So there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of sort of it just feels a little lackluster, especially considering the fact that this was supposed to be a pitching and defense team. It feels like what went wrong here, maybe.
Yeah. I remember at the very tail end of last season, he's obviously no longer the manager, but I asked Bob Melvin, I was like, when you look at this bullpen, like, do you think, I don't remember exactly how I phrased the question, but it was something to the effect of like, do you think this bullpen like needs more like power and stuff? And he said like, yes, this is like a unit that needs more of that. And even with the names that I just mentioned, like Duvall and Rogers and Rodriguez is obviously not going to be on the team this year because as he recovers from Tommy John, I think they were like the lower third of strikeout rate even with those guys. Mm-hmm. And so again, like you kind of look at the group now, and again, just, objectively speaking, looking at career strikeout rates or even minor league strikeout rates, there's not a lot of guys that have had those like numbers where you're like, it's like second and third, one out. Like this is a situation where like I need a strikeout. There's not a ton of those guys on this team right now, and I don't remember what the exact number is, but Fangraphs, per their depth charts, I think they had the Giants at I think it was 28th as far as like projected bullpen. And I personally expect Ryan Walker.
Like a ranking?
Like if you had to rank it based off projections.
Got it.
They had them at 28th. And I think Ryan Walker in particular, he's probably the closest thing this team has to an incumbent closer. And when we talked to Vitello about, the possibility of like a closer role, it was very non-committal to like defined roles. It was more nebulous as to what the bullpen might look like. But I think it would be fair to say that, by the time May rolls around, it's probably Ryan Walker in that closer role, even if there is a little bit of, toying around. And I do, like, you look at some underlying stuff, especially with the location, if he's able to correct that, you can envision a scenario where he's kind of back to that 2023, 2024 form. But again, once you get past, if Walker is your ninth inning guy, as of right now, it's who's got the eighth, who's got the seventh. If the starter goes 5, who is the sixth?
Right.
And that's something that, like Yoel Peguero, for example, like last year, that was someone who pretty much until like the first or second day of camp, it was kind of like it was a bit of a question mark, and he ends up pitching down the stretch in September and August. But we will have to see, like, is there anyone who emerges? Is anyone who has like a little more punch to their stuff? But again, just as currently constructed, it does not project to be a bullpen with a lot of stuff.
Right. It's it could be a narrative. I hate to use the word narrative. It could be a narrative that changes.
That's the Warriors reporter in you.
Oh God.
Bring it, the narratives.
Let's talk about narratives.
Narrative ball.
What's the narrative?
Narrative ball.
It could be a story that changes as spring goes on. Maybe Peguero starts to show. I mean, if you're throwing 101, and you have the potential to start striking some other pitches, or you show a little more a punch in that capacity, then maybe things change in terms of what's to expect from him in a potential high leverage late inning role. Maybe he's working on something that we don't know about yet. Maybe things have changed and I don't know. Maybe the narrative changes as we watch these guys pitch in spring training. You never know. I'm trying to create some optimism.
Everything is susceptible to change.
What we should be watching for in this bullpen. We'll be watching these guys pitch soon.
The only certainty in this world is that there are no certainties. What did Kyle Shanahan say a couple years ago? It's like, are you certain that someone's going to start? And he's like the sun could explode and we could all die tomorrow.
That's so Kyle. I love that.
It's a great quote.
I
feel like Tony's got one of those in him.
Yeah, but maybe not as like
cynical
and catastrophic. Yeah. He was talking about Waymos today and how creepy they are.
Yeah, I think he was like, I don't know what the next AI thing is going to be, and I kind of fear it. And honestly,
he didn't even say that.
I think he did say he talked for a while. I think he did say that.
He said something like, I don't even know.
I don't know.
Sorry.
I think
He talks about Waymos.
it's time to eat.
Time to eat.
Any final thoughts? No final thoughts.
No final thoughts.
Final thoughts. It's time to eat. Day 1, spring training, Justice, Shayna. See y'all later.